A bid to counter China's growing influence over the Indo-Pacific region, the United States, Britain and Australia have now established a new security partnership. Now this involves helping Canberra acquire nuclear-powered submarines. In a three-way virtual announcement from each of their capitals, the leaders stressed that Australia will not be getting any nuclear weapons, but rather using propulsion systems for the vessels to guard against future threats. Morrison said that the submarines would be built in Adelaide in close cooperation with the United States and Britain, and that Australia will continue to meet all their nuclear non-proliferation obligations.
Our world is becoming more complex, especially here in our region, the Indo-Pacific. This affects us all. The future of the Indo-Pacific will impact all our futures. To meet these challenges, to help deliver the security and stability our region needs, we must now take our partnership to a new level. A partnership that seeks to engage, not to exclude, to contribute, not take, and to enable and empower, not to control or coerce. And so, friends, AUKUS is born, a new enhanced trilateral security partnership between Australia, the United Kingdom and the United States. AUKUS, a partnership where our technology, our scientists, our industry, our defence forces are all working together to deliver a safer and more secure region that ultimately benefits all.
With China's increasing military build-up in the Indo-Pacific region, Washington and its allies are now looking to push back against Beijing's growing power and influence. None of the three leaders, however, mentioned China, and the US officials say that the move was not aimed at countering Beijing. Biden, however, in his speech said that the new trilateral partnership was to address the current environment in the region.
Today, we're taking another historic step to deepen and formalize cooperation among all three of our nations, because we all recognize the imperative of ensuring peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific over the long term. We need to be able to address both the current strategic environment in the region and how it may evolve, because the future of each of our nations, and indeed the world, depends on a free and open Indo-Pacific enduring and flourishing in the decades ahead.
Australia also announced that it would acquire long-range US Tomahawk cruise missiles for the first time, further strengthening its military defences. Scott Morrison, however, issued an open invitation to Chinese President Xi Jinping to discuss all issues important to the Indo-Pacific.
There is an open invitation for President Xi and I to discuss these and many other matters, and that has always been there. Australia remains open to discuss these and all issues that are important to the Indo-Pacific. I believe and I hope we would both share the same objective of a peaceful Indo-Pacific where the sovereignty and independence of nations is understood and respected, and that enables their own citizens to flourish. And that's what we all want. It is not an uncommon thing for countries to take decisions in their own strategic interests and to build up their defence capabilities. China makes the same decisions, as does other countries within our region. So I don't think that should be seen as necessarily extraordinary or in the terms that you suggested.
China, however, has reacted, calling the submarine deal extremely irresponsible, which will threaten the stability of the region.
美英向澳大利亚出口高度敏感的核潜艇技术，再次证明他们将核出口作为地缘政治博弈的工具，采取双重标准，这是极其不负责任的行径。
Also not particularly pleased was New Zealand. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said that New Zealand was uninterested in building nuclear-powered submarines and would not lift its decades-long ban on nuclear-powered vessels entering its waters.
But we have an independent foreign policy. We'll take our own view on foreign policy issues. We'll continue to make a contribution, but our lens is very much peace, stability and a rules-based order. That'll always be the case.
For now, US officials have not given a time frame for when Australia would deploy a nuclear-powered submarine or how many would be built. Australia currently does not have any nuclear infrastructure, so it would require a sustained effort over the years. The announcement comes just over a week before Biden is to host a first in-person meeting of the leaders of the Quad group That includes Australia, India, Japan and the United States, of course, that Washington sees as a key means to counter China. These developments also favour India as it further strengthens an opposition to China's influence in the region. Now for more perspective on this new security partnership, joining us now from New York is my colleague Susan Teherani, and joining us from London is our Bureau Chief Mandy Clark. Susan and Mandy, thank you so much for joining us. Susan, I'd like to start with you and get your perspective. Tell us a bit more about AUKUS, as it is dubbed, a new security partnership between the US, UK and Australia, something that has rankled China. Tell us more.
That's right. You know, what's interesting is that at the request of U.S. President Joe Biden, President Biden had a conversation with his Chinese counterpart, and they discussed a range of issues. However, the president understandably did not bring this deal up. However, they did talk about the issue that competition in the region should not turn into conflict, and some perhaps take that as a sort of a muddle between the two sides. Also, it's important to note that this is something that has taken place after the debacle that we saw in Afghanistan, and the Biden administration continuously saying that it wants to focus more on the Indo-Pacific region, on the threat from China. It has always said that it wants to really focus its foreign policy attention on the threat that it sees militarily and economically on China, and this falls in line with that as well. So those are some aspects of it. Other aspects of it is, of course, that the Biden administration in its readout came out and said that the future of each of our nations and indeed the world depends on a free and open Indo-Pacific. Just again, stressing the importance of the Indo-Pacific region for the Biden administration, Australia and the UK as well, moving forward. And the Biden administration's foreign policy, again, traditionally working with traditional U.S. allies.
Right, Susan, stay with us. We'll now cut across to London to our Bureau Chief Mandy Clark. Mandy, coming to you, what does the UK stand to gain, especially in the Indo-Pacific?
Global presence. This is all about Britain after Brexit. They want to be seen as global Britain. That is the brand they're pushing. This very much puts them on the forefront as a major player alongside the US and Australia in the region. Of course, they do have the advantage of building subs. They're having a tussle with France over that submarines. That contract was supposed to go to France. Now it's going to the UK. So there's conflict within Europe over it, but it very much puts the UK back on the global map. That's very much what they want. There has been COVID, there has been Brexit. The UK economy is hurting. They want to be a major player on the stage. And of course, China is in their minds. There was the Huawei issue. They had to take Huawei out of all the 5G networks, and they already had been a part of it. They have a deep concern about China's influence in the UK. So it really speaks to a lot of their concerns, but also how they are seen on the global stage.
Mandy, just to follow up to that, will this new front be a way to counter China's aggression, of course, in the Indo-Pacific, and how will this impact the UK-China trade relations in the future?
I think it certainly will impact their trade relations, but I think there has been more of a concern within the British government. It would have been a calculation that trade is, of course, desperately important to the UK, but also protecting their infrastructure. There has been accusations of hacking and spying among the Chinese government in the UK. So I think they weighed security over trade, and it will damage relations to a certain extent. Trade will continue, but I think that's where they place the value this time on security, ensuring that regional security, but also ensuring that it meant safer borders for the UK as well.
All right, Mandy Clark from London and Susan Teherani from New York, thank you so much for joining us at this hour on WION, and thank you for all your inputs. WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.